Hello. Content Statement 6, U.S. Constitution. Content statements are big picture. Content elaborations are the details. Expectations for learning are the skills. I know you're getting sick of me saying that, but it's important to know, just to rehash it in your mind in this first unit. So I have two guests with me today. I have two of the most beautiful people in the world, right? And they will get to introduce themselves as this goes on. Content Statement 6. The Constitution established the foundations of the American nation and the relationship between the government, the people, and their government. The government and their people. Big picture idea right there. Expectations for learning is also going to have you be able to explain how the Constitution establishes a limited government that protects the rights of the people. I want you to understand that this vocab word, term, phrase, limited government means what? Oh, well, maybe we should have the most beautiful male in the world give us the definition of limited government. Look at that. It's Hottie Hamman. Mr. Hamman, what does limited government mean? Well, Jason, limited government means that the government doesn't have all power, that the government's power is limited. Look at that smile. Isn't that just the berries? Yes, I'm very jealous. Anyway, limited government. That's really what the Constitution is all about. It's not about the government having all the power in the world. It's about the government having some powers, the powers that we give it. It doesn't have permission, the federal government, it doesn't have permission to do anything unless we, the people, gave it permission to do so. So let's look at how this works, this content statement. In the details, the U.S. Constitution strengthened the structure of the national government. Okay, so what that is assuming is that you understand that what? Strengthened? Sorry, the Constitution strengthened what document? What was the weaker document? Oh, okay, this is the second most beautiful woman in the world, whereas he might be the most handsome man in the world. She is the second most beautiful woman in the world. The first most beautiful woman, obviously, is my wife. Right? But she would kill me if I put her on this video. So I got the second most beautiful person in the world. Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood, could you tell us, please, what the Constitution strengthened? What document was extremely weak? Our first Constitution that was extremely weak. What was that called? Why, Jason, Mr. Beavers, that document was the Articles of Confederation. Thank you very much, Miss Underwood. I appreciate that. Now, in the drafting of the Constitution and the ratification of the Constitution, the document had these things in it. And these are things that we've kind of talked about already, but you need to definitely make sure you know. Establish 3 separate branches: legislative, executive, judicial. Do you really want me to start drawing it again? I don't think you do, so I'm not going to, but I could draw the L and the E and the J inside the box, and I just won't do that. We got 3 separate branches. We've got the principle of federalism. Do you remember what federalism means? Miss Underwood knows. Federalism means state level of government versus the federal level of government. The federal government has some powers, the states have other powers.
although the federal government is supreme.
Thank you. I don't know if Carrie Underwood has a Southern accent. I don't think she does, actually. But, Jesus, take the wheel. Okay. Including the principle of federalism that delineated the distribution of powers between the national government and the states. Mr. Hamman, Hottie Hamman, what does delineated mean? What is this vocab word right here? Delineated. Well, Jason, it means. Why am I giving you a Southern accent, Mr. Hammond? I don't know. It means to draw lines between. So, what's a synonym? Maybe separate. Don't you love my smooth way I talk? Yes, Mr. Hammond. So, the principle of federalism that separated state power from national power, delineated, draw a line. The word line is in there. Draw a line between. Okay. Instituting the ability to pass legislation and amend the Constitution. Remember, the Articles of Confederation, it was very difficult. 9 out of 13 states had to agree to pass a law. That's like 2/3. 2/3 of nobody agrees on anything in the United States, right? Now it's just a simple majority. What did it take to amend the Articles?
Wow, I know this one too. It took 2/3 of the states to amend the Articles of Confederation.
Wrong, Miss Underwood. It was unanimous. Don't mess with me. I'm a government teacher. He almost sounded like Batman there. Maybe he's the Dark Knight. Okay. It was much easier to amend the Constitution under the Constitution, whereas the Articles took a unanimous vote, a unanimous number of states. The Constitution, first you have to get it past Congress if you want an amendment. The Congress has to start the amendment. This is the normal process of starting amendments. There are others, but this is the way it normally works. Congress proposes, Congress passes, and then the 3/4 of the states ratify. So it's not a simple majority to get an amendment of the states. It's not 100%. It's right in the middle. It's 75%. And that has happened 27 times in our history. The first 10 of those being the Bill of Rights. Okay. What does instituting mean? Can you tell me that my glasses are getting foggy? That's why I wear my contacts a lot. Instituting means beginning or creating or setting up. Giving the ability to address issues facing the nation. E.g. means something like, for example, it's some kind of Latin abbreviation. The Articles didn't really have a very good ability to address the issues facing the nation. Remember the big rebellion that happened in Massachusetts during the oh, good. I thought for a second there that I had not been recording this whole time and I would have been bummed out because I had some awesome comedy. I'm just going to say. Okay, anyway, remember the big rebellion that scared the living tar out of the founding fathers during the Articles of Confederation years? Remember what it was called? No, it was not called that. Look, okay, I don't have a lot of hangups, but come on, people. Shays's rebellion. The guy's name was Daniel Shays, right? The apostrophe, that thing right there. That means that it was his rebellion. It belonged to him. Like it's a possessive, right? So many of you put this. That would be Shay's rebellion. That is not grammatically correct. Because if his name was Daniel Shea, then it would be Shays Rebellion. But that's not his name. That's not how his name goes. Shay is his name. So if it's his rebellion, if it's his possessive rebellion, then it's Shays' rebellion. So I might have circled that on some of your timelines. I won't take off points, but I mean, come on, you got to get it grammatically correct. Shays' rebellion, not Shay's rebellion. Shays' rebellion.
Mr. Beavers, nobody likes it when you're being such a stickler on grammar.
Yeah, dude, don't be a grammar Nazi. It's not funny. Fine, whatever. But I reserve the right to call it Shays' rebellion. Okay. Under the Articles of talking about all that to say, under the Articles, they couldn't stop Shays' rebellion. I mean, like effectively, they couldn't at least stop it from happening in the first place, right? Because there were problems within the Articles. They couldn't stop the states from fighting each other. They couldn't stop foreign governments from taking advantage of us, including Britain and Spain. So they couldn't tax, right? There's just a lot of problems with the Articles. And so the Constitution actually gives the federal government the ability to actually address some of those things, like the power to tax. To levy taxes is to raise taxes, to enact a tax, to pass a tax. That's what levy means. The Articles government didn't have that. The Articles government had to request armies. Under the Constitution, the president can call up the militias and require them to come and fight for the army. And Congress can, fund an army as well. Under under the Articles, there was no ability for the Congress to regulate commerce, and the states had trade wars between each other. And it was almost like, either a civil war was brewing or the states would have just fractured and there wouldn't have been any American government. And so regulate commerce was a power given to the Congress so that those interstate trade wars wouldn't happen in the first place. So Congress now has the ability to regulate interstate commerce because of the Constitution. And all of these things help give the ability to Congress to try to address the issues, at least better than the Articles did. So that's this first part. The second part here, the Constitution defined the relationship between the people and their government by limiting government to protect individual liberties. Now, I've already talked about this already. Remember when I was doing the whole boxes thing and rectangles thing and the checks and balances and the federalism and there's arrows and lines everywhere, right? The point behind that was if you limit government, I'm zooming in so that you'll make sure that I got your attention. The point behind all of that was if government is limited, then our rights are better protected. If the government is all powerful, then it can take our rights away, and that's bad. The Constitution specifically says that Congress only has the powers granted to it by the Constitution. It doesn't have all power to do whatever it wants. Limiting government helps protect our individual and our civil rights. Remember, your rights as an individual, the rights of the group you belong to, civil rights. Ensuring that people have a role in electing government representatives. I hope that you remember that is Republican governments from way back in the Northwest Ordinance.
Don't say Northwest Ordinance, Mr. Beavers. Nobody likes it.
Okay, moving on. Guaranteeing power from the consent of the people. The people have to give their permission. Consent is permission to the representatives in order for something to happen. The government can't do whatever it wants. It has to have permission given to it by the people through the Constitution, through elections, etc. That is my short summary. I don't know about short. How long have we been going here? 15 minutes. It's one of my shorter ones. So, explanation of U.S. Constitution. Hopefully, you did well on the multiple choice questions and that you'll do well on the Google form. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for paying attention. Can you please say goodbye, Mr. Hottie Hamman? Goodbye, y'all. We'll see you on the flip side. The flippity flop. And the second most beautiful woman in the world, Carrie Underwood, would you say goodbye? Goodbye. She's a wonderful singer.